Hi, I'm Todd Henderson. Today we're going to install the Gator SR2 on this 2009 and up Ram pickup. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, so I'm going to start with the passenger side rail. To identify that, what you're going to do is you're going to hold up the rail. The Velcro is going to face to the outside. This strip right here, this is your seal that's going to go up against the side of the bed cap, not on top. I'm going to go ahead and peel that seal away. This is just a protectant that goes over top of the seal. I'm just actually peeling away the protectant. Now what I can do, on the back end I've got a cam latch. The trigger latch is going to be on the driver's side. So if you got the trigger latch, you got the wrong rail. And then we're going to go up to the front. This is where our tension adjusting unit is. So we're going to take and we're going to set this up against the bed cap, and we're going to center it between the bulkhead and the closed tailgate. Now once I've got the rail in place, I like to hold it in position with a squeeze clamp. So I'm just going to take and hold the squeeze clamp to the bed cap. All right, so I'm going to take one of the provided clamps. I'm going to loosen that up. Now on the Ram, I like to have the clamp aligned to where it goes into the top notch, not the bottom notch. So I'm going to put it in like so, and I'm going to spread it apart. Now the teeth on the inside of this clamp are going to match up to the grooves on the rail. So I'm going to go as far forward as I can with this clamp. Make sure it's as high up as it can go. I'm going to go ahead and tighten this down to the side rail. Now this should pull that tight and pull this level. Now as we tighten this clamp, we also want to make sure that the level of the rail on the outside, the seal is right up to the top of the bed cap. Now we're going to go about halfway down the bed. We're going to take the second clamp and install that the exact same way. Go up as high as you can with the clamp, making sure that you tighten it down. As you tighten this clamp down, make sure first that the outside of the rail is right to the top of the bed cap. And the last clamp is going to install the exact same way. Again, try to get as far back as possible while still on the rail itself. And tighten that down. Again, make sure the edge of the rail is up to the top of the bed cap. We're going to repeat the same process on the opposite side. All right, next we're going to go ahead and take our cover. Now this is our tarp assembly. We've got the head rail that goes up towards the bulkhead. Now this rubber flap here is actually going to face towards the cab of the truck and lay over top of the bulkhead. What we're going to do, we've got a couple of bolts that are sliding back and forth inside this head rail. We're going to line those up to our oval shaped holes on our side rails. Once we get that lined up, we're also going to make sure that we're centered side to side with the head rail, and that's going to drop in and drop those the bolts into the oval holes. We're also going to make sure this edge of the head rail is in front of our tension adjustment block on each side. Now once this bolt drops down through on each side, what we're going to do is we're going to take our very large spacer washer, we're going to slide it over top of that bolt. Then we've got a 9/16 nylock nut that we're going to thread in place on top of that. Then we're going to go ahead and tighten both sides down. Before we do that though, we want to make sure that our head rail is centered. We've got the same gap in between the head rail and the side rail on both sides. Once we do that, we can go ahead and tighten that down with a 9/16 wrench or ratchet. All right, now three things I want to mention at this point. First of all, if you had any slight pitch on that rail where it wasn't perfectly level, that's actually okay. As soon as you tighten this up, that will bring that rail perfectly level. Then once this is tightened, you don't want to have this over tight. You actually want to be able to slide it back and forth just a little bit with a good amount of force. It shouldn't just slide back and forth on its own, but this tension adjustment block is designed to be able to push it forward or pull it back to set the tension on the tarp. One other thing, before we start rolling this back, we want to make sure that the tarp is actually centered. This tarp can actually slide back and forth side to side. So before we start rolling it back, we want to make sure it's centered side to side. All right, now what we're going to do is test the operation of the cover. We're going to pull the straps loose from the buckles in the front and just roll it back to the tailgate. Now once we latch it into place, all the wrinkles that are in there from being shipped across the country will get tightened up and go away. We're just going to rotate the head rail into the cam latch on both sides. And we'll fix the sides by pulling it to the Velcro. Well, that concludes the installation. If you have any questions, call the experts. We're here to help you out.